Any trouble? I'm here fishing, minding my own business. Look,
I'm gonna need you to leave.
I'm gonna need you to leave.
This is my property.
This is my property.
There's no way I'm walking off my own property.
There's no way I'm leaving this hold because I know Big Belly Kelly's up in here.
We've really got a problem here.
You're about to have a problem, bud. I've told you, do not approach me.
Let's go.
Let's go where?
Let's go right now.
Where are we going?
To the ground.
Are you threatening me?
To the ground.
Okay. I'm telling you right now, bud. I'm the wrong dude. Okay?
What the hell is that?
This. That's what it is, bud.
All right.
Listen, I don't want to hurt you. Kumite. Have you ever heard of a Kumite? 1987 Kumite champion right here. But
what's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, and I'm hidden behind this picture right now. Can you see me? No, you can't. But now you can. Welcome to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh. It's always great to have you here in the lounge. Today, of course, is another mobile lounge, drive home lounge. But we will be going back into the studio soon, so look forward to that. But, yay, we're back here, and we're having some fun, and it's good to be with you. It's good to have you guys here. I see Draga here already, and I see a lot of you guys already in the chat, already have arrived. So, look, if this is your first time to the lounge, just know that the Poindexter Lounge is, everybody say it together, boys and girls, a place for nerds. It's a place where you and me and all of us can get together and talk about the things that we love. Things like TV shows, movies, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, superheroes, toys, and so much more. And if those are things that get you excited, and those are the kind of things that you like, you're probably a pretty cool person, because I like those things too. And I think we should hang out in this forum. So hey, hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell and join the group of nerds that assembles here. Nerds assemble! Alright, so today we got some topics to discuss, some stuff that came up. If you have a topic that you would like to see us discuss here on the show or on the channel, please make sure to go and follow us on social media. All of our links are down below, and you can go down there. I'm seeing Iggy already. Yeah, we don't have this topic on here, but it is something that we'll probably talk about at some point because Matt Reeves, like all of the Batman stuff that was on his Twitter is gone. So I don't know. But hey, I have a very special guest here, as always, has been this last week. I appreciate him. He's really great. He's got some great points of view. If you don't like him, well, that's just too bad. Let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Now, just teasing. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Austin.
Oh, you like me. You really like me.
At least somebody does.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to convince Bradley for the past 2 years, but slowly.
Trust me, dude. Trust me when I say you can't change people.
It's true. That is
if
true.
If they don't love you, they don't love you. If they're gone, they're gone.
That's right. That's right, man. Well, how are you doing, man? How's your day been?
My day's been good.
Nice.
My day's been good. Sorry, I'm eating a peanut butter cracker because I'm hungry. My day's been really good. I've been spent a long time today in some training and stuff, and learning some stuff, and so that was good.
Nice.
So
it's good, man.
Yeah, man. I just learning some new stuff for the job and everything, so I can do my job better, and reviewing some stuff that I'd gone over and everything. Yeah, and now I'm just going home. Like it's a cloudy, kind of rainy day here in Michigan.
It's a cloudy day here in Vegas too. I just got off work.
Yeah.
And, here, I'll give a little. Oh, look, there's my face. Can I turn the camera around? How do I? Am I allowed to? Maybe I can't turn the camera around. All right, we'll just. See the clouds.
Hey, look at that.
Some wind in Vegas. It's a rare sighting.
You guys getting like dust clouds and stuff like that around?
Dude, we got like this crazy dust storm like a week ago. My car was covered in dirt. I just got it washed yesterday, and then it rained this morning, so that was a waste of money. I was like, thank you, Vegas. Thank you for your wonderful weather habits.
Well, it could be worse, man. It could have been back in the 70s before they put the what do they call it? The channels where the water can come down from Mount Charleston and stuff, and it melts and everything.
Right.
My grandma used to tell like horror stories of like she'd go into a hotel and come back out a couple hours later, and man, there'd just be cars floating down the strip, man.
You know, my grandma during we had a big storm a couple months ago. My grandma goes, "You know what, Austin? Put the car in the garage. I'm afraid it's gonna flood." I said, "Grandma, I've lived here for 20-something years. I have never seen it flood." She goes, "I've lived here for 60. It's flooded. I have seen water in the streets." I'm like, okay.
Yep, and that's because the only reason it doesn't do it now is because they put in those big, channels that like when that water comes down, it looks like there's a river.
Right. No, it's
Vegas.
bad. It's bad, especially on the strip.
But at least they've done that where it doesn't just flood the whole city anymore.
Right, exactly. Well, we got some rain. We got some good topics.
We do. So you know what? I'm going to. I sent you. Let's see. I sent you the article for one. I mean, a couple we just can talk about. Yesterday we kind of touched on it a little bit. So why don't we start off with, since it's yesterday's news.
Yes.
Patty Jenkins is back.
Yeah. I mean, well, she didn't have anything else going on.
I'm sorry if I just seem so. No, I'm with you, Austin. Because I'm sorry if I seem like I'm like really sarcastic about this stuff now. But it's like you start to see through some of the cracks of some of the things that even we like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest with you, with Patty Jenkins, I just don't know. Like, I'm still trying to figure out if the first Wonder Woman was an anomaly, that it was so good. People want to claim that, Zach kind of ghost directed the movie. I don't know that. I don't know that personally.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he would do. I mean, he doesn't seem like the type of guy to be, have a controlling person over him, then go be that controlling person over somebody else.
Yeah, although I will say, though, I wouldn't doubt, though, that the story for the first one and everything, probably...
Well, we know the story was written by him. The actual story and the screenplay was written by somebody else.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So like that's what I was getting at. Nerd Cosa Nostra. Hey, bro. Message me real quick if you want a link. I didn't know Nerd Cosa Nostra was doing shows. That's how long I've been gone. I have not known that Nerd Cosa Nostra was appearing on shows now on camera. And like him and I have been friends like for a long time, and like literally talk to each other on the phone, and I didn't know that was going on until I watched the Four Nerds last night. And,
Oh, I didn't know he was on there last night. I haven't got. I usually watch them. I just I sometimes have to catch up. I haven't gotten to see last night's episode.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, this Patty thing, like. I was excited at first when they first announced that she was going to be doing Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
I was super happy because I like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But now I'm a little concerned because obviously Wonder Woman 84 was just text me, man. You got my number? Text me and I'll send you the link that way. Or I mean, I don't know what works best for you actually. But I can send you the link wherever. wherever you want to. Just message me real quick. Just tell me you messaged me, and I can see it. But yeah, like I was super excited, Austin, and then I don't know, I just kind of lost that naivety, I guess,
Sure.
when it comes to some people, and she's one of those people, because honestly, Wonder Woman 84 was just, it was there. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did.
I really
you know?
didn't hate it. I really didn't. I enjoyed actually a lot of things about it. It definitely, but also too, I wasn't a big fan of the first Wonder Woman movie either. So
You know what? I guess I should have just asked him, like, do you want me to just text you?
right. Should I just,
You
could
really
just
don't
text
have
me.
to text me for me to send you a link, I guess. If you want me to send it that way, just tell me which way you want me to send you the link.
Just tell me what you want me to do.
What do you want me to do, man? Anyways, so yeah, like I said, Austin, I was really excited about it, but then over time, it's just gotten to the point where it's like I'm not really excited about her to see her name attached to something, because it kind of feels like I'm not sure if that movie's going to be great or not.
I hope it. Look,
I would also like to point out. I would like to point out that I am going 84 miles an hour right now, and I'm coming into a construction zone, and I just had like 5 cars just like whoa, like they're in NASCAR or something. Like I'm in the center lane, and I got like these people
racing.
I'm going much faster than the flow of traffic even, but it appears these 4 have some kind of road race thing going on, and they need to all be somewhere else. I'm sorry I cut you off there, buddy.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you in that. Like, I don't know. The one thing I'm going off of was that video that she made a couple years ago for it, which for me, even not being the biggest fan of like some of her movies, that video as a Star Wars fan was like, okay, this person has a lot of love and passion for, and this is going to be personal, and it's going to be, it's. I always like that when, especially when the filmmakers coming into Star Wars, that if it's personal to you, if it's, I kind of feel like with JJ, I never felt it be personal for him. He went like from Star Trek to Star Wars, and I was like, for me, I just kind of felt like it was a job for him. With Ryan, I did feel it was personal. With Rogue One guy, I felt even. I'll be honest, even with Ron Howard's Solo, I felt it was personal. So I mean, like, I think that's one thing about these projects, these big IPs, Star Wars specifically, like Dave Filoni, it's incredibly personal to him. Like. And because of that, we get great stories. So I can only hope that because it's so personal to her, her growing up, on a Navy base, or not Navy base, I'm sorry, Air Force base, her dad being on the, and plus it's kind of, yeah, exactly, Rogue One did feel personal. And like, I know some people, especially with the Star Wars movies, quote unquote, like they're all like, oh, I want to see Jedi and lightsabers and stuff, but like, if it's a good story like Rogue One or, like some of the other, like, I'm all for it. I don't think there has to be a lightsaber or a Jedi in every Star Wars project or movie or whatever. I think, it's okay to explore different parts and different people in the Star Wars universe, like the Rebellion, like the, a Rogue Squadron. My only thing is, too, is I kind of wonder as to when it will take place. I know, of course, there's a lot of complaints about, we're still in the Skywalker era. We're still in this, and there's, so much to explore. So I would hope that there she takes a kind of opportunity to maybe explore a different era, maybe go in the future, go in the past. Like, I think there's definitely something. Oh, there he is. He's back.
StreamYard's stupid, man.
What happened? Yeah, I know. StreamYard's really weird.
Yeah, it just started giving me a hard time. Whoops. Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, no, that, dude, I'm right there with you. Like, I want to love it, but like you said, the passion that she showed.
Yeah.
In that video a couple years ago, that's what
sold me.
sold me on it. Yeah, for sure. When she put that helmet on, and
Yeah, and
she's
she's like
skating
on the Air Force base. I was like, oh hell yeah, okay.
Heck yeah, that's what I want. I want an emotional Star Wars movie, man. I want something that's gonna just get me in the feels. And look, Rogue Squadron traditionally has been a very popular series of books, of comics. You know,
right.
You get a movie made, it just makes sense. But in the same token, is Patty Jenkins, at the end of the day, the right person to direct that movie? Right now, I'm kind of 50-50 because I feel she's got the passion for it, but I'm also concerned, like, did they knock the passion right out of her by all the stuff that happened, right? Like, what exactly happened that took her off of the project and now she's just back?
My guess is probably a couple of things. I always thought it was probably because of Wonder Woman. Like, that was the original thing. Because that she didn't know until last year, basically, if that was happening or not. So that was probably one of the things. Another of the things probably was Disney probably being a little fearful.
I was just getting ready to bring Nerd Cosa Nostra in, and he disappeared.
Oh no! Oh God!
So come on back, Nerd Cosa Nostra. Come on back, because I'll get you. Sorry, no. Back to what you were saying.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably what it was, because it seemed like a project, like I said, she was really passionate about. And also, too, now I did say this when they came out, and they never canceled the project. They never flat out said this project is not happening. They said it's being shelved for right now. It's being put on the back burner.
Okay, it's a moment. You ready for the moment?
Uh-oh. Brrr, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have someone making their debut appearance on the lounge. And I'm saying this because, well, first of all, it's kind of cool because it's his first time on the lounge, like, on a panel, excuse me.
Yeah.
But also it's just cool because I've gotten to know Nerd Cosa Nostra offline better than I ever do him online. And so I just want you guys to know what kind of guy this guy is, right? Because you don't always know, just seeing people on screen and stuff like that. He's really encouraging. And he's gone again. He must not like what I said.
Oh my God.
He must not like what I said. I was just going to say that Nerd Cosa Nostra has been a huge encouragement to me this year. And I just wanted you guys to know that, because there's some people who have cared for me, checked up on me, loved me, and it's people that, there's people like Nerd Cosa Nostra that, like I got to know a little bit better in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But then there's people like that I know, like, we go back and forth with like, these feuds and stuff amongst our friends often and everything else. But I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Saggy, like, she's going to be one of my ride or die friends. Like, I just don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Like, seriously, like, I know there's people who don't like her. I'm sorry, but you know what? Saggy has been
she
so
was there
good
for you,
to
man.
me.
She was
so
there for
good
you.
to me this year.
And I'm so happy she was.
And was with me when I went through some of the worst times of the last year. Like, I will just tell you all, she was with me the night that things went down and talked to me. I mean, she wasn't with me. She's where she's at. But she called me. She called me and she talked me down, and and that was a huge blessing to have her. So and like I said, Nerd Cosa Nostra, same way, man. That guy has checked in with me and made sure I was okay and stuff, and that just means a lot. And so, like, that's why I was saying, like, just want people to know.
Of course.
Let's see.
He says he's backstage again.
You are?
He says I'm backstage.
Oh, there he is. For some reason, it wasn't showing me him. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nerd Cosa Nostra.
Whoa! I think we got a show.
Oh, yeah, we got a show.
We definitely got a show.
Oh, yeah, there's a show.
Oh
What's up, my
yeah,
friend?
we got
What's
a show.
going on?
What's up, man?
Welcome,
What's going on, guys?
welcome to the lounge, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
When did you
How's it
start doing
going?
shows?
Somebody
I
have
have
to
been
fill your
I have
place,
been
Enosh.
setting some money aside last year. Decided I think it was like around October, November. I said, you know, I'm just gonna do it. Let's just do this. So I had a custom PC put together. Just bought me
Wow.
like a whole new setup. Cleared out one of my extra bedrooms in the house and just started doing it. Just figured I might as well just jump in and learn by fire, right? So I just started getting like OBS downloaded, StreamYard, all that stuff, and just started researching, Googling, and just trying to just do it as I go.
I hear you, man.
So
Well, that's awesome, man.
yeah, man, yeah.
That is
Glad to see you guys back on line doing shows. That's good.
Heck yeah, man. Slowly but surely, bro.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Slowly but surely. So what do you think, man? What do you think of Patty Jenkins coming back for Rogue One?
I'm glad. I'm part of me is glad to see it happen, but I'm wondering what is the underlying reason for it happening. I mean, of course, we're not going to know all the facts. We're not going to know the real story of why, but it does make me wonder what's driving that decision, especially after the walking away the first time, right? I mean, we knew why she walked away the first time, or probably asked to walk away, and now she's back. I mean, I don't know if it's because you got Disney, we've seen what Disney's been doing to the MCU. I mean, even with a lot of the recent Star Wars stuff, it's just not hitting. And it could be where they're saying, hey, we need to bring someone back fresh, give us a fresh take, maybe a fresh story, bringing the fans back to the table. I mean, the whole Wonder Woman thing, that's over and done with. She's not going to do that again. That's in the past. And that's what I was mentioning last night on the Four Nerds show around the whole Zack Snyder stuff. It's done. People need to. I'm a Zack Snyder fan. Love Zack Snyder's movies. I loved his version of the characters. It's over and done with.
Yeah.
People just need to. And that's just so much more for the actors themselves. They're all doing other stuff. They've been doing other stuff. They're at an age now where it's like they don't want to go back and do something that's already 2017. What we're talking 7 years ago at least. So
well, and unfortunately,
I'll be glad to see her take though on this IP. I hope she can do something different and bring something fresh to the table. So I'm excited to see what she can do. So
you bring up a really good point though, because these actors, man, they've moved on from these roles, and everybody wants them to just come back. And I get that, and you can come back to a role. We've seen people come back to roles after decades even. But that being said, everybody just kind of wanting them to just kind of pick up where they left and act like nothing changed, nothing happened. Yep. That's just, I'm with you, man. I just look at it and I just go, you know what? Look, I got to be realistic. I get it. There's the wishing and the hoping and the praying.
Yep.
And then there's the accepting reality part, right? And wishing will not change things. It's just not going to change things.
Correct. The whole release, the Snyder cut, I think was lightning in a bottle type situation.
Yeah.
We knew he had filmed
100%.
a bunch of stuff. We knew that stuff was, outside the special effects, we knew that some of that stuff still had to be done, but the shots themselves, we knew majority of it had already been done.
Right.
And we knew it was substituted with reshoots from Joss. We knew that. So a bulk of the work was already done. It was just polish it up and release it. Same thing, the same thing can be said with the Ayer cut, right? We know the Ayer cut just needs to be polished up and released. It's totally different when you're talking about Justice League 2, Justice League 3, the Batman movie. We're talking you're starting scripts, pre-production. You're talking the whole gambit. And right now, WB or DC, they're not going to invest that money. They're putting all their money behind James Gunn and his vision. Which I'm a fan of the characters. I like Superman. I like DC characters. I liked Christopher Reeve as Superman. I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I'm interested to see what James Gunn can bring to the table. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see a DCU where it feels like I'm watching Peacemaker season 1 over and over again, where you have where it just feels like you're just watching the same comedy over and over and the same jokes over and over. I understand there will be some of that. That's just James Gunn's style. I get that.
Yeah.
But I just don't want to feel like that's all we're going to get is this slapstick humor with these characters. Zack Snyder's characters were very grounded, very real, very like putting you in real life situations and how are you going to respond to these real life situations, which we hadn't seen from these characters before. They were more comic book driven, I feel. But yeah, I mean, I'll be glad to see. I'm all behind. I'm behind seeing what can come to the table with something new. I mean, I was disappointed with Flash when we got to see finally get to see another live action movie, Supergirl. I wish we could have seen more Sasha in that role. Obviously, we're not going to now, but we'll see what the next actress can bring. So,
right. Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you, man. Like, look, I've loved these characters. I've said it over and over and over again that Man of Steel was the Superman movie that I always wanted to see. And it meant so much to me to see that portrayal of the character. And I'm with you. I don't want to see now where I differ is I like Peacemaker. I actually enjoyed Peacemaker, which I was shocked at, but I enjoyed it for what it was because I looked at it for that character and stuff, and I felt like a lot of people who hate it, I'm not saying you, I'm saying just a lot of people in general, like they were just gonna hate on it no matter what, right? Because it wasn't what they wanted, and I saw a lot of that. But I understand exactly what you're saying because I don't want a DCU that is just that.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
I am fine if you have the Peacemaker show and it's that kind of humor and it's that kind of thing. And yes, I can actually understand the difference between somebody or a character making a statement about Superman, Batman, Aquaman, or whoever derogatory, saying that Aquaman has sex with fish, and Superman has a poop fetish, and Batman is this and that. Like the whole point is that Peacemaker is insecure in himself, and he doesn't like the fact that all these other heroes are on pedestals and he is not, and he doesn't have any direction. And so like he's just saying those things, but like people want to run with him and be like, that's who he is in James Gunn's world. Superman has a poop fetish. It's like, no, you're missing the point. But it unfortunately opens the door for people to come in like that and state things as fact, even though they're not. And so I'm with you, man. I want to see a Superman movie that takes Superman serious, that takes that world serious. And I'm fine. It needs to have a little bit of lightheartedness. Austin and I were talking about the other day, like when people complain about like, well, Superman is like a god and he shouldn't be dealing with stuff like saving a cat in a tree. And to that I say, look, I don't want it to be 2 hours of Superman saving cats in trees, although that would be hilarious. But to see Superman save a cat in a tree for a kid or something like that, that's exactly what Superman does. Like, Superman is able to fight somebody like Darkseid and Lobo and Brainiac and go, like, super uber serious, man. Take on Banshee or, Satanus or, like, whatever. But Superman has always been about those moments where I am okay with showing that side of Superman as long as it doesn't, or and any of the other characters too, as long as it doesn't overtake the entire thing.
See, and I don't think people aren't okay with seeing that. I think people want to see something else, and I'm meaning they saw Christopher Reeve do that. They saw that was the Superman Christopher Reeve was, right? And then you move from that to something. I mean, we're gonna kind of skip over Brandon's version, his one live action. We'll skip over that for now. But when you move from saving cats in trees, doing interviews with Lois on the balcony, flying in the sky together, to something like Henry Cavill's more grounded, more real life situations I'm going to put you in, how are you going to respond? you have that fan base who's like, okay, well, where is the next version going to go? We've seen the Grounded, we've seen the cat saving. Now, do we want to see something different? We want to see something fresh. I think about it just from like a comic book perspective. How many different versions have we seen of the character in a comic book, and the different stories that can be told? I mean, one thing I mentioned last night, and one thing I will continue to hammer home until I hope I see it one day, is the Reign of Supermen storyline.
Oh yeah,
I would love to see a cyborg Superman and Steel, Superboy. I would love to see that story played out in live action. Will we ever get it? I don't know. And maybe, who knows? It'd be great. What if James Gunn's universe led to that, right? To that type of story. That would be amazing. Something that we had never seen before is having those, different versions, not now a multiverse, but in the same verse, but different versions of the with the same power. I mean, they were, Superboy with a clone and all that, but still, I think that'd be great.
I think we're going to get some of that, and Austin and I were talking about this earlier in the week too. That I think what we're going to end up with, hopefully, I could be totally wrong, man. I could be sitting here like a couple years from now, going, man, what a piece of garbage that Superman movie was. I hate it. I'm on record as hating it. I tried to give it a chance. All you people can hate me because I tried to give it a chance, but you know what? I will be that guy, and I will, if it sucks, I will tear it limb from limb. But what I think is going to happen is we're probably going to get a hybrid. We're going to get
possibly
some kind of hybrid of having a Superman who has those sweet and tender moments, just like in like Superman or All-Star Superman, where Superman's going around and talking to people and learning things. You know what else one of my favorite Superman stories is when he starts walking. What was that story? He walks across the United States.
I can't think off the top of my head, but I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, I mean, Superman just literally takes off walking, and he just starts talking to people. What is that story? And learning from people and meeting people, and it's cool because in the comics he actually comes to Flint, which is kind of cool. But you know what I mean? So like, I would love to. I want to see that side of Superman. I don't want that to be totally removed. And so I'm hoping that we get a little bit of that with a movie that is on par with some groundedness, with some real worldisms, but probably not like we've seen. Like you said, it's probably going to be more comic booky. I mean, Austin, what do you think?
I agree. I mean, I honestly, I'm okay with more comic booky. At this point, I like Snyder's take as well. But I think, if we're being honest, even with Marvel, when I think about like a real comic book adaptation, right, from book to screen, that I think really like probably the best one. I say this, is Watchmen, right? But it's kind of very serious. But it really did almost everything in that comic,
right?
And it didn't care how it might be translated across.
Watchmen was ahead of its time. It completely ahead of it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
but people
were not ready for Watchmen. I wasn't ready for Watchmen when it showed up. I didn't know who Zack Snyder was. I had never read Watchmen, and I went to go see Watchmen with my cousin Sam, not realizing that it was so long either. And walked out of it I walked out of it numb almost in a good way, because I was like, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
That was amazing. Right. That was a superhero movie that literally, like you said, like it was on point, man. And then when I read the graphic novel, I was even more blown away, because I'm like,
right,
like you just said, they did it all except for the
squid.
And I liked Zach's take on the ending better. So I was like, hold on a second. Who is here? Hey, D.W. McKay. What's going on?
TW.
Hi, guys.
What's up, man?
There's a name I haven't heard in a long, long time.
I'm good.
Cold,
but I'm
that
good.
Superman story you were talking about, Enosh, was actually called Superman Grounded. It was went from 2010 to 2011. That's the one you're talking about, where he's walking across. Yep. That's the one you're talking about.
Yep. And so I want to see a Superman that does tackle those kind of like ground level things.
Yeah,
but that shouldn't be the whole movie.
Well,
should
it's
be,
like you said. It's a hype. It should be a hybrid. Even Cerise said in the chat, it can be both. You know, he's the guy
Right.
who is most human, even though he is mostly God. Which, yeah, I agree. I want to see it both. And there are, you know, like I said, as far as like, we've never seen like a real like I think comic adaptation since, you know. But one thing I did like about Gunn, you know, is like he adds little things in there that make it very comic book. What I loved about the Suicide Squad, right, was like when it's the Suicide Squad versus Starro. You know, I was like, oh, frick yes, that's so dope.
Okay.
Like, you know, like so I think he's gonna bring. Those are the kind of like little goofy type thing. You know, whether you call them goofy or not. I thought it was cool because like that's something that you would see like in the comic. You know, right when Starro shows
yeah,
up.
you know what? Like I smiled when that happened. I didn't hate it. Like, I guess if given the choice, I would rather something like that not be in the movie because I want it to play more like a movie instead of a cartoon.
What? But that's also like what would happen in a comic, not just a cartoon. Like that is.
Yeah,
very
no, but I mean, but
straight
that's
out
what I
of
kind of look at. That's kind of what I look at as a comic. You know, is you know a cartoon, but still images. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you know what I mean? Like you know, it's so when I look at the two of those, I kind of look at that and like when it happened, it's like I get it, and I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny. I mean, look, the way that he handled Starro, there were all kinds of people complaining about Starro, and I'm like, Starro is exactly if you're going to introduce Starro in a serious way, the Suicide Squad is the best team to have it go up against.
Yeah.
Because it is it's a silly character. I know in the
Exactly.
comics, I know CW in the comics. I think that was CW. In the comics, you know, Starro is a major player, right? I
Yes.
get it.
Yeah.
And Starro, you know, takes on the Justice League and all that. I understand all that. But in live action, I am sorry, Starro as a character is going to be really, really, really hard. Can you imagine Starro being the main
It's a
villain
hard sell. It's
of,
a hard
of
sell.
a Zack Snyder film? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you do that? I don't think that translates as well. So that's all I'm saying with that. So when that stuff pops up, I'm like, hey, that's cool. It's the right movie to do it in. I get that. You know what I'm looking, and I know we got off on this Superman thing. You know what? Honestly, I'm looking not necessarily forward to, but I'm interested to hear about, and that is the way people react to the Superman movie. Because if this Superman movie, first of all, if this Superman movie ends up being more grounded and serious, like a Zack Snyder film, and people act like they like it, I'm going to call people to town on that one. Okay?
Yep.
Because if this has a serious tone and like major crap goes down in this movie and there's stuff that is reminiscent of that, then you know what? I'm going to have to speak on that because then that's BS. I'm not against James Gunn doing it. I'm not against it happening. I'm against people complaining about it after the fact or acting like, you know, or not complaining about it and acting like, oh, how great it is. When all you've done is tear the man apart either or act like Zach's stuff was so bad that thank God James Gunn is here to save us. That my problem is not with James Gunn. My problem is with fans at these days. And so I'm interested to see, like, do we get that? Or if we get a really comic booky, you know, kind of thing. I'm interested in two reactions. One, actually, I should say I'm only really interested in one because I know what the reaction from one side is going to be. It's just going to be absolute hate and, you know, whatever. But then I'm interested in the people who say that they want a more Christopher Reeve-like Superman.
Right.
They claim that they want a Superman who is the big blue Boy Scout and always does the right thing and never challenges himself because he's just godlike and nothing can faze him and he always says the right thing, does the right thing, acts the right way, never has to learn anything, you know, on his own, never has any struggles, nothing. That's what people claim they wanted. Well, that's what people claimed they wanted back in 2006. And they got that. And guess what? Well, I'm sorry. They got all that except for Superman had one problem. He messed over his girlfriend, and when he came back, she wasn't waiting around for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? So the thing is that, like, Superman Returns bombed. Okay? People said that they wanted that. came out, they said we want action, we want Superman to fight something, we want Superman to be serious and all that stuff. So then we got that, and then they said they didn't want that either.
Right.
So whatever this is, I'm interested to see how the average movie fan who's just going to the movie, says, hey, there's a Superman movie, let's go see it. I'm interested to see how the reaction is and if it actually does well. If it's like a Christopher Reeve Superman, okay, but does it actually do well then? Right? Or if it's super serious, does it actually do well? I think that Superman has a very uphill battle to fight, no matter what.
I agree. And while I'll be interested to see the response, I think everyone on this panel would agree with my next statement. I don't care about the response because ultimately, I mean, there's tons of movies. I'm sure we all of us like people and everyone in the chat that probably 20 more people hate. Right? They go, why do you like that movie? That movie's horrible. Well, I love this movie, and I think for this, it's boiling down for me too. I just don't know enough about it. I think more of my opinion will start to form when we get the teaser trailer, when we get the full, first trailer drop, the full trailer. I'll start forming my opinion. Like, I don't know if this is gonna be for me or not, but I will still give it a chance. I'll still, give it its opportunity to have that impression. And if I like it, great. If I don't, I mean, it's gonna be like anything else, even like Man of Steel. People like it, people don't. I like it. I like Superman 78. Superman Returns. I mean, was it great? No. But do I dislike it? No, I don't dislike it. But I mean, I watch it every now and again, and
me too.
I don't revisit it as frequently as other movies. But yeah, I mean, I think we'll see people's responses when that teaser trailer drops. And that's when I think people will start coming out of the woodwork to start complaining whether or not this is going to be their cup of tea.
TW, what do you think, real quick?
I think honestly, I am absolutely over the moon for this movie. Like, I've been hyped pretty much since day one. I think it's just I'm excited we're getting another Superman movie, and I've kind of heard everybody's opinion on it. I've seen people I know be. I've seen people be no Cavill, no money. I've seen people be just as hyped as I am.
I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
Gee, I don't know. I'm very.
Do I still have? I don't think I still have that pic. Oh, wait, hold on a second. I might still have that picture somewhere. Hold on a second. That was a hilarious picture. Remember when I made those T-shirts?
Oh my! I completely forgot about the shirts.
Oh
I knew
my
you
God.
made the image. I forgot the shirts.
I gotta see if. Hold on a second. I'm gonna change all the backgrounds and stuff and see if it's in here. Because if it's in here, it's totally relevant to what you're saying. But
But I'm
go ahead.
genuinely excited, especially because based on the source material that Gunn has cited and DC have said, here's what we're going to probably be using for this movie. That excited me. More than anything else, I think the other big question is just seeing it. Because all we have now is just the scant things that Gunn has said. And then we have, a picture of a suit and filming in Norway. And that's it. That's all we've got. So I'm excited because I want to see another Superman movie, but it's tough to not before we get actual footage, and I am excited. But the real question for me is how many people, because a lot of times I've seen this not just with Superman but with anything, where people will scream, oh my gosh, this is awful. Well, you still did you spend your money on it? Well, yeah. Well, congratulations, Warner's has your money. You have spent money on this unless you refund it. Like, no, because that's the other thing is it always comes off like in, not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I've seen people critical of things, for example, like certain Disney Plus programs where I'm like, you're screaming about this left and right. Well, you're still subscribed to the streaming platform. Either that or you have unofficially admitted that you're in either password sharing or pirating the product. So you're in any way, if you are overly critical without approaching it with an open mind and still just being in that realm, congratulations, you played yourself.
TW, what do you think of, to close out this subject so we can move on, what do you think of Patty Jenkins coming back to Rogue One?
I'm very excited that they're doing a Rogue Squadron movie but it all depends for me. Mind you, I have a very particular image in my mind, especially her talking about her history and whatnot.
Right.
Part of me, there's this little voice in the back of my mind where I'm like, that's just saying, when it comes to what I want out of this movie, 4 words: Star Wars Top Gun. That's honestly what I kind of want out of this movie in this tiny little space in the back of my brain. But I think it'd be also interesting because if you do in some way model it on Top Gun, you've got look at what Top Gun is. It's based on the Top Gun school. It's based on, an actual naval school for the best pilots. What better kind of thing to do? The real interesting question for me when it comes to Rogue Squadron since the announcement has been, where do you place this on the timeline? Is this before, is this before episode 7? Is this after episode 9? Is it somewhere in there? Is it somewhere closer to the original trilogy? Where does it fit? Because we have this connotation of what Rogue Squadron is, especially from Legends, but we also have scant stuff in canon now too. So
well, they
I'm
did say
interested to see where it
when they
fits.
when they originally announced the movie, they said it was after episode 9.
Which would make me very, very happy. I'm not logged in, by the way, so
I am.
I got it. I got it.
please and
Hold on,
thank
I got
you.
it because I'm gonna. I got it.
Okay. Well, I'd already done, so you just have to my bad.
Okay, no problem.
But yeah, I'm very excited for the movie, and at least the fact that it's nice that they're actually doing it. It's not because it just kind of disappeared. It was one of those things, and that was, I think, one of the things I was very critical of with that Investor Day thing, where they just kind of put a bunch of stuff. And funny enough, in hindsight, it's how I felt about the sort of the Snyderverse slate after 2013, after Man of Steel. Just putting a bunch of stuff against a wall, hoping to God it sticks, is how it felt. But obviously, there are very different circumstances surrounding that. But what I mean is, it just kind of, it felt like they said a bunch of stuff in that Investor Day call for Disney, and then it just kind of, we heard nothing for 3 years for the most part. Like, there was a couple things for Obi-Wan and Andor particularly. Those came out. It just felt like it was an eternity. So I'm glad that they are putting it back on the front foot, especially after Jenkins getting, kind of axed, or not Jenkins getting axed, but Gunn going in a different direction, and there not being a Wonder Woman 3.
There
Yeah,
we go.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I agree, man. I agree. So it's going to be interesting to see what it turns out to be. Now, I will say this: if this thing gets canceled again,
I will not be impressed.
if this turns out that it goes away again, then I think I'll even say I think it's just time for Kathleen Kennedy to step down. Like, and I listen, for me to say that, but it's like stop announcing.
That is for someone like, for those who are obviously, with a lot of us here, Austin and Nostra and Shri, we all know Enosh's feelings on this. But for anyone who may be watching this later and unfamiliar with Enosh's opinion on Kathleen Kennedy, for him to say that is truly, truly shocking.
Yep.
So,
and I love Elsa.
It's a high
I
bar
love
to
Elsa
clear.
here. I love Elsa. Elsa knows that I love her. That Elsa is amazing, by the way. But
yes.
but one of the things that actually brought me and Elsa together as friends was the fact that we have differing opinions on these things, but we respect each other, right? So for me, a lot of the Kathleen Kennedy hate has been superficial. It's been people who don't understand what she actually does at Lucasfilm.
Or misrepresenting past statements. And that was always my issue with a lot of these people, where it's like, it's taking up, they'll bring up things where we're now, especially where we are in time, we're sitting 6, 7, 8 years away from some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
The Last Jedi will be turning 6 this year, or 7 this year. 7. The Rise of Skywalker this December will be turning 5.
Yeah.
Like that's COVID for you, but to show
Well-
you. But to show you just like how much time has passed, like, and they're still latched onto these things as if things have not changed, or if this is somehow still representative of fact in some way.
Yeah. Well, and even today, yesterday, they just announced that under Kathleen Kennedy, since they've bought it, right? They bought it for $4 billion, 3 point something
12 or
billion.
something?
They've profited 4 times what they bought it for since in those almost 10 years since
There
they
you go.
bought it.
And on
So-
top of that, with Lucasfilm, because it's if you're looking at the films, you've got not just the what are we at? I'm trying to think. 6 movies? 6 movies that came out? Because you had the Skywalker five, because you had the trilogy, Solo, and Rogue One.
Right.
And then you've also got Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and you've also got undoubtedly profits being marketed towards Lucasfilm because of draw for Disney Plus for series, for like the Star Wars series and for Willow and for other things that they've done.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, TW, is that people don't look at the bigger picture.
Everyone
right?
thinks
Like,
Lucasfilm is just Star Wars.
Well, and not only that too, they think that just because they didn't like the movie, that automatically means it's a failure and all that. Right, and it's like, look, whether you liked or didn't like the movie, right? Last Jedi, you made over $1 billion. Rise of Skywalker made over $1 billion. Rogue One made over $1 billion. Like, whether you like them or not, the fact is their audiences are still going to those movies in droves with her at the helm. And so until Solo's the one, that kind of there it is.
But I think it's fair to say though, Star Wars will always be a moneymaker when you think about live action films.
Well, Solo kind of proved, that maybe.
Well, but look at the problem Solo had though, just to even get itself released.
Sure, it had a lot of behind the scenes.
It had a lot of behind the scenes issues.
At the end of the day, too, they ended up getting Ron Howard, this man is just going crazy with the look at him with the. There you go. It's like
is that like a StreamYard function?
Yeah.
It's like showing a puppy a new toy.
I found it out by accident yesterday, TW.
Actually, you know what it is? I remember now because there's another channel that I follow that accidentally wound up doing that, and I'll talk about it in a second.
See, and so Shri mentions in the comments, Solo was good. I don't get the hate. I don't either. I don't get the hate.
Yeah,
for what it
like
is,
Solo.
I enjoy it because I like those backstories where you get this. We've seen the Solo character through so many feature films where he, as a
supporting kind of like,
and we actually get to see the backstory of that character. I enjoy seeing those backstories.
I agree.
Of core characters that many of us either grew up with or got introduced to at a young age, right? So I don't understand that. I mean, were there things that could have been better about it? Of course, there's things that can be better about every movie, but still, I love those type of prequel type things on the core characters.
And that's what I was going to say too. Even though it didn't do too well at the box office, it still had like a lot of good things going for it. Look, Ron Howard. If you're a Star Wars fan, then you knew, right? Ron Howard.
The fact that Ron Howard threw that movie together.
Right. Well, and like if you're a Star Wars fan, then you know Star Wars. Ron Howard has always been a part of Star Wars in some way. George Lucas wanted him to direct.
And why isn't his daughter directing a Star Wars movie yet?
Yeah,
I hope so. I hope she does someday soon.
I need that.
The episodes of Mandalorian that she's directed, in particular, her episodes of Mandalorian have been phenomenal.
I will say her episode in the last season was the weakest, but other than that, she's phenomenal.
Like her season 2 stuff was great, and there was another thing. She did an episode of she did an episode of Book of Boba, which was pretty good if I'm remembering the series correctly.
Yeah, but you know what? There is one thing. Like when Kathleen Kennedy said that because of Solo, they learned not to recast these legacy characters. No. That is
not the lesson you should have learned.
That is not the lesson you should have learned from Solo. Because the thing is Donald Glover needs to play Lando again.
Yeah,
somehow,
that's why they're
some way.
doing Lando.
and if you're gonna do that, then you need to also bring back Han, like, right?
I've said that I think honestly for whenever they do the crossover movie, I've said honestly I think they should do it. Han, Luke, Leia, and just recast everybody. Bring Alden Ehrenreich back, and then get somebody to play Luke and somebody to play Leia. I think
they have somebody though. They have a fan favorite for Luke already.
I think
people have been saying, he said he would do it, and even Mark Hamill said, like, yeah, that's got my blessing all day long, and
Right.
that's Sebastian Stan. Now, look, I get it. You may not cast him in the end, but at least.
Trying to think, because he'd probably just I don't even think you need to de-age him that much, but like even just put some makeup on and he's good to go.
Right. You know, like the Book of Boba Fett episode. Was it Book of No, it was no, yeah, it was Book of Boba Fett that Luke shows up at the end, right?
Yeah. No, he chose in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the one where we actually see him, you know,
Right.
like not the jumping around, you know. Look, I'll be honest with you, I love Nicotina. Andre ruined that for me, and I feel like I'm never going. I'm not good. And I say I don't mean that in a bad way either. Because him and I'll never forget the day it happened, man. He called me and he was apologizing up and down for spoiling Luke coming back, and I feel like it did take away, unfortunately, from my excitement for that moment, because I already knew that Luke was coming back, and honestly then all I could do was focus on the de-aging and that it looked horrible. And I know that everybody else was having this great emotional moment just seeing Luke Skywalker again, and I was sitting there the whole time just thinking, please don't show his face, please don't show his face, please don't show his, oh my God, you showed his face and it looks bad. And I know people want to go back and say, oh no, it looked fine. I'm sorry, to me, especially the difference between that and the Book of Boba Fett. The Book of Boba Fett, I get it. It doesn't quite look like Luke or whatever, but it looks real.
Yeah.
It it doesn't take me out of it. You know, like it.
I also think that the guy that they had for Luke, I think like the body double. I think honestly they should give him an audition. Give him an audition, because if you look at his actual face, he looks a lot like Luke Skywalker anyway. And he looks like, when you see him moving around, I'm like, oh, I'd like to see him, give him an audition, see if it works, and do that. Because that way you're casting an unknown, you're saving some money in that regard, especially post strike. That's probably going to be very beneficial, because you're moving into a project. This is going to be post December 2023, which is when
Canadian.
all of the new stuff.
You're so Canadian.
What I do?
A project.
Project. Oh, take off, bud. All right.
You and your project. What's all that about? What's your project about?
Oh, what's my project about? Oh, buddy, I have to tell you, I'm working on about 4 or 5 different things now.
Oh, really? Oh, really? There. Well, maybe you should be like, eat some back bacon and drink some beer and it'll
funny?
Open up your mind a little bit.
Why are those like Canadian hallucinogenics? Oh man, you got to have some pea meal bacon. It'll open your mind's eye, and you'll be looking straight true north there, bud. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. No, I don't know, man. I was just giving you a hard time. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's all right. I give us a hard time too.
That's what I'm here to do, is derail other people.
rather ironic, because that's usually our job.
Right. Now I'm back to derail y'all. But yeah, look, I bring all that to a close. I think Elsa or Cherie or somebody said it. Just make a good Star Wars movie, for God's sake. Whatever you do, whatever timeline you set it in, whoever the people are, just make that. And I will say, this: whatever you do, please, for the love of all that is good and holy, never cast Josh Gad in a Star Wars
now
movie.
we truly are back. What is that?
That is Josh Gad with 2 lightsabers and a tutu.
Oh God! And two
Oh.
hands? Is that 2 hands? What the hell?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because AI doesn't make any sense half the time.
He needed another hand because one went down a bridge.
My God! Ugh!
That just looks like Steven Seagal without his beard.
Why does he have a tutu on? What?
Because I told
Our
it.
brains have all frozen. We're not even skipping, folks. It's just our brains have melted from the images.
What in hell is that?
I don't know. My car turned off, and so my sound is different now. So yeah, whatever it is, let's just get a good Star Wars movie. Now, moving on. Did you guys watch Black Mirror?
I didn't watch the
have
last
not.
season. I mean, I've watched all the
No.
seasons up before. Last year there was a new season. I know.
There was not a season last year.
Yeah, there was.
Not last year.
Maybe not last, or with the year that the last Stranger Things season came out. Wasn't there a new Black Mirror season? Uh-oh. Is it me or is it Enosh?
No, it's Enosh.
Okay, I
it was
was
Enosh.
like-
He's just double checking his sound. You're good.
Okay. But yeah, I can't remember. When was the last Black Mirror season? It was fairly recently. Like, it wasn't that long ago.
Let us go look.
I want to say it was like around the last Stranger Things, because
Season 6 was back in
season 6
like
was
mid
June of last
2023.
year.
Yeah, so it wasn't that long ago.
Okay, yeah.
And 7, I don't think it's supposed to come out until next year.
I didn't
Yeah.
know they were making another
They
series.
said
Yeah, I think
next year,
yeah, I think it's
2025.
Yeah, next year. I don't know if they said like when, like mid, like summertime, spring, whatever. But I know it's next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sent you
The article.
the article, man. But yeah, look, I love Black Mirror, man. Black Mirror is, gosh, man, that show is so good. So much better than even like it probably has business being. But I mean, every episode is it's addictive. It's a great anthology series. And I think it's really cool that they're doing a sequel to one of the episodes, because if you haven't watched Black Mirror, every episode is different. It doesn't. It's not following a story. It's anthology, kind of like Twilight Zone was, right? So it's all these different little compacted things. Every once in a while, though, it's almost like they almost drop what's similar to a J.J. Abrams mystery box kind of thing, where something seems like it crosses over, and you go, oh. Yeah, I remember seeing that on that episode and that on that episode. And then they had like one episode where they like totally undid it, and like messed it all over again. So and like put everybody in there. And it was kind of strange, but
Kind of reminds, like the way you're describing it, it kind of feels like the Multiversity comics, like the Multiversity Morrison's thing, where you had Ultra Comics where they could communicate with each other through the comic books, which I still think regardless of how the entire series landed, like the Multiversity series, I have to say as a concept, that is like top 5 Morrison things to have ever been introduced to DC. As far as I'm concerned, it's so weird. It's weird in that perfect Grant Morrison way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, my phone was cutting out when it all happened. I'm sorry. Did anybody else say that you guys watched the show?
I haven't for a while.
Okay. When did
But
you,
I knew
season
season 7 was coming out next year, so I knew I was gonna need to get back into it before that happens.
Sure. Did you watch the Bandersnatch episode?
No, I fell off of it pretty early, probably around season 2 or 3. It's been a minute for me to watching the show. But it's definitely one of those things where I wanted, now that there's, because when I get into a show, it's like, okay, what's going to happen next? I got to see the next episode. So since it's been a while, I have a few seasons to catch up on where I'll just binge it all the way through. So yeah, I'm glad they're going to continue it, but it's definitely something I need to get caught up on.
Okay. Yeah. So, and Austin, did you say that you watch it?
I didn't watch the latest season. No.
Okay. All right.
What's up, Jenna?
Hey.
So the Bandersnatch episode was really interesting because the Bandersnatch episode
Are we
was
talking
like,
Black Mirror?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
they just announced season 7.
No way. Yay.
I tell you, she's a keeper.
Real-time reaction.
By the way, hello to all 50 of you who are watching right now.
Wow.
If you could, please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. It's good to have you all here.
Smash that like button.
That's right. Anyways, yeah, the Bandersnatch episode was interesting because it was a choose your own ending episode, and it was kind of frustrating.
That one was weird.
I'll be honest with you, it was kind of frustrating because I wanted it to be a lot more streamlined. It was very hard because I can't remember how many possible outcomes they said that if you did every possible outcome, because you get to a point and you have to choose what the person on screen does.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to use your remote control to hit, do you want the person to do this or do you want the person to do this? And so whatever you pick, that's what happens. And sometimes you pick something and that person dies immediately. And it's just your episode is over, right? And it's oh, okay, well, let's go back. And then you got to go back out, come back in, pull up that spot, get to that spot, and then pick the other thing.
And go through all the options.
Right. But the thing is, the problem is there's so many freaking options sometimes that it's they said there's thousands of possible outcomes or whatever and episodes that you could possibly watch from it.
Wow.
And I think I did maybe 4 or 5 of them, right? Just to see. And then I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. And I love the show. So
Yeah, the concept is great, but you got to keep that number down. Maybe cap it at 10 or 8.
Right. So that you're not, because when I heard that because I started watching it, and when I heard that there were thousands, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm never going to finish
doesn't touch
it.
much.
So what's the point? I'm never going to finish this. And I get what they were trying to do, but it's just, and it was a weird episode too. To be honest with you, it was a weird episode, and so I get it. So I'm just glad that they're coming back with a season 7 proper. But I also think it's cool because this will be the first time that they have done a sequel to an episode. So
correct. They're picking up. They're picking up where I'm not gonna say the character's name, but they're picking up where a specific character has been removed from the show, killed, or however you want to put that. I won't say the character's name, just spoilers in case anyone hasn't seen it. But that's my understanding is where the season 7 picks up from.
Yeah. So I think that's cool, and man, I just love the show, and I was super excited when I talked to Shayna, and I was like, hey, have you ever watched Black Mirror? And she was like, yeah.
I love Black Mirror.
I was like, yes. But yeah, so I'm really glad that they're coming back with another season, and I think that take on doing a sequel to an episode is very interesting because they haven't done that, and it's most of the episodes of the show seem very final. That episode has played its course, and I really don't need to see what happened after that, right? That episode is very interesting that they are continuing it, and we'll see where it goes, right? We'll see what they do with it. But if you haven't watched Black Mirror, I would say it's a great show. It's a fun show because you can watch it at your own pace. You don't have to watch. It's not like a show, like I said, where you have to watch all these episodes and everything to get into a story. Every episode is a standalone. Every episode is its own thing, and it's just a good show. It's well written, well produced, well made, and I'm glad it's coming back.
Yeah, that format, as you mentioned earlier, is definitely something I love about the original Twilight Zone series from the 60s. That they did like 5 seasons, I think. I mean, I love that the original show. I'm not too keen on when they tried to remake it, but where I mean, I think like season 1 has like almost 30 episodes, and every single one is something completely different. Even though they recycle a lot of the actors back then, it still was a different story.
Yeah. So it's just good stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, to close out the show.
Oh, sorry.
Somebody's calling Shayna. Shall we answer? Hi.
No, it's not me.
Okay. The Crow.
I'm all in on the Crow.
Okay. So this is all I'm going to say, and then I'm actually going to kind of step back from this conversation. I do not like the character. I didn't like it. I didn't like the original movie. Of course, I was young when the original movie came out. I didn't care for Jason Momoa's. I just don't really care for the character and the story of it. Like, I get it, but it's just like watching this trailer. The crazy thing is, I like all 3 guys, right, that played the Crow. You know, like I love Brandon. I loved. Oh wait, there's been more. There's like some. There was
the show as well, right?
Yeah, there was a show. They had the original movie with Brandon in 94, and then they did 3 additional sequels to that.
Did they really?
Yeah, the kid from Terminator 2. Oh, his name escapes me now.
That's right. Yeah.
He became the main character, I think in part 3 or something like that. Those were just straight to DVD type films.
Ed Furlong.
Okay, so they did. There was the original one. There was the Crow City of Angels, the Crow Salvation, and then the Crow Wicked Prayer. So yeah, they did 3 additional sequels to the original from 94.
Okay. I never saw those.
Or was it 90? Was it even earlier than that? Let me see. Yeah, 94. So yeah, 94. Then they did the sequels 96, then another one in 2000, 2005, and then now this remake in 2024.
Wow.
And then there were 2 unmade movies. I know. Well, he's dead now. DMX was gonna be the character. It was the Crow Lazarus or something like that, and then they were going to do another one where it's more zombie driven. I think Rob Zombie was actually going to direct it. It was the Crow 20-something, 2035, 2037, something like that. It was one of those crazy. But Rob Zombie was going to direct one, but those 2 obviously never got made. So the last one we saw was the early 2000s until this one with Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah. So the thing is, man, is I love Bill Skarsgård.
Yep.
I love Jason Momoa. I liked Brandon Lee back in the day, but there was just something that never resonated with me with this IP, with this franchise. I don't know if it's maybe because of all those direct to DVD things in the 90s or direct to VHS in the 90s, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Like it seemed less important. It seemed like it was very just kind of cheap, I guess, to me. And the only thing that I really liked coming out of The Crow, TW, can you take a guess?
Coming out of The Crow?
Yeah, the one thing that came out of The Crow becoming popular that Enosh might like a lot.
Crow Sting?
Crow Sting. Sting, that's
That's
iconic.
fair. Mind you, I love me some Crow Sting. So,
and give it to Sting, man. He totally took that and made it work for him, and somehow didn't get sued. And good on him, man. But and then he turned around and did it with the Joker. So, but I loved Crow Sting. But honestly, man, like I saw the Jason Momoa thing, and I was just like, I still don't like this. Why don't I like this? And then I watched the trailer. And I want to make clear because I see here Tony movie Chappie D9 Neil Blomkamp band with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. I get your comment. It says, forget the haters. The Crow trailer is dope. I love it. And it's nice to see a gritty R-rated comic book movie in this time. And I love the new element. So
I agree.
I watched the trailer, and I just got the same vibe. I didn't feel like it was something that like really captured me. And so I want to make clear, I'm not hating on The Crow. I get it when the people like it and they love it. And there's just some things like that I've realized about myself over the years that they're just probably not for me. And I've kind of gotten to a point now in my life where it's like I'm going to stop beating my head against a wall trying to force myself to like something that maybe I think I should like because all my friends like it. But I'm
Exactly.
just
You gotta kind of give it a shot, and if you don't like it, state your piece and wash your hands of it. And
right.
there's
And I'm
no
trying to
point
like,
just staying angry or staying, in that zone.
right.
It's not healthy.
No, and so I'm trying to lead by example with that, TW, because we you know what I mean? Like I've taken enough time over the years to like uh go after, things like when we did 2 cents on nonsense, for example, right? And go after people who just like want to hate on stuff. So I don't want to just hate on something. Like
I'm gonna have to get me a Jawa Union label sweater before the winter's over.
There you go. Yeah, you got to have the Jawa. Actually, I'm thinking about redoing that one because of there was a quality issue with spring. So because
Gotcha.
I got one, but I think it needs to have a little bit more to it. So yeah. Stay tuned on that one. But what do you guys think?
I'm all in for it. I'm all in. The original one, I don't think the original one suffered. I just think that's your typical mid 90s movie. That's what they looked like back then. That's just how it was. Now the 3 sequels that came after it, I mean, took a huge dip straight to VHS DVD. They weren't worth watching again after you see them. And it can turn someone off on the IP or on the character itself. Seeing this interpretation of the character, which is vastly different, in my opinion, is vastly different than what we saw in '94. But from what we see in the trailer, I'm excited to see this movie. I like that. I like those kind of dark, gritty, goth type movies, especially you don't see them come around that often. And in the time where we have, it just seems like you're getting hammered comic book movie after comic book movie, or a reboot or a remake. I mean, this is a remake, but I mean, this one doesn't feel like it's going to be like the original. There's going to be any aspects taken from it. But the other thing I will say is I don't understand why they picked June. I mean, for something like this, go after the Halloween October release time frame.
Right.
I think you would it'd have a much bigger impact. I understand they're trying to go for the summer crowd. Kids aren't in school. You're gonna probably go see movies during the summer. I get that, but
Plus,
I think
especially with the fact that Marvel only has one superhero movie this year, and it's Deadpool and Wolverine in July. DC has 0 superhero movies.
Yeah, they have Joker in October, actually. So,
exactly.
yeah.
And like what would normally be a saturated summer market, you basically have a giant gap except for like Godzilla, right? Which again, Warner's, at least Warner's for their own sake has movies in the popcorn movie range, right? Not to disrespect The Crow in that way, but just like as far as trying to whatever way that who's the studio doing it? It's not Blumhouse, is it? Or is it Blumhouse?
Lionsgate.
Lionsgate. Oh, okay. So they might want to go that route in the sense of doing something with that.
But. And I mean, the budget on this movie is so small. It's only a $50 million budget for this film. So I mean, they could easily make that back and a profit off of this. And
exactly. That's
and fair. More than likely, if it does well, we're gonna see a sequel to it. I mean, but I think they gotta be careful with that, especially after the first go around with sequels on this character didn't end well.
Yeah.
But I'm all in for it. I thought the trailer was great, especially when he's. If you haven't seen the trailer, spoilers, when there's a scene where he's got a guy behind him, he takes the gun, puts it to his own chest, and just starts, shooting the gun off to kill the guy behind him right through himself.
Right.
I mean, things like that. I mean, they're
that's
action popcorn type flick.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So I mean, that type of stuff I'm all in for. I like those type of action movies.
Shana, have you watched The Crow?
Not since I was little. I don't really remember it.
Okay.
I remember the story about the actor dying and everything, but
So real quick, so Elsa mentions in the comments, and do you think the fact that the OG was a big deal was because Brandon was killed? I think that probably played a role in that film being viewed cult classic considered by many because he was killed during the filming of it and he didn't finish the film. Very much like The Dark Knight, right? I mean, would The Dark Knight have been as big if Heath Ledger didn't die? I mean, yeah, he finished the film, but he was in the process of filming another movie and died and didn't finish it. And they had Colin Farrell come in and film for it as well, where they started changing the look of the character.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it now. It's a good movie. It's a great movie.
Was the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus?
Yes, that's the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Yes, where one of the guys makes a deal with death, and Heath Ledger plays like this scandalous executive, and they just keep changing his look throughout the movie because he didn't finish the film.
Oh,
but
wow.
It's a great movie. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I do think the original, that's what drove the original to probably to more of a cult classic, because he didn't finish it. This one, I think it'll probably piggyback off of that cult classic, because you're gonna get those hardcore fans who are gonna want to see this new take. So yeah, again, from my opinion, I'm all in. So
awesome. Hey, Austin, what do you think, man?
I'll say it. I'm sorry. This looks horrible to me. This just looks. I'm terrified. Yeah, I would have much rather when Momoa. There's a lot of things happening that I'm not happy. The director is not very very good. This is the guy that directed the Ghost in the Shell movie, and he also did. Oh God, what else? That was also terrible.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it there.
Right.
Austin, thanks for being here at the Poindexter Lounge. We'll see you next time.
That's how it ends.
Well,
no, and also too. I mean, Nostra kind of mentioned, right? What I like about the first one is the aesthetic. It's got there's not many goth movies like that are just have that tone and have that look, and like this felt very generic and very they kind of took the goth a little bit out of it. I'll probably end up watching it, but I'm scared.
Yeah, the director for this hasn't done much. I think he also did the white Snow White and the Huntsman, the first one. Yeah,
that's also not the best one.
It's not. Yeah, that one's not that great.
As an outsider to this IP, I will say it looked less goth to me and
more what?
Emo.
Yeah. I would say I would agree with that.
Yeah, I can buy it. I can buy that.
And like I found myself halfway through the trailer, like looking and watching the love story, right, and thinking to myself, so it's just that simple, huh? like that's his whole motivation, and that's okay. Hey, man, hey, I guess, but yeah, it just seemed very emo. Like with some of the shots and the color palette and the choices, and just really how he looks, like how they've made him look. He doesn't have that classic kind of Crow look to him.
I don't like the short hair. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I'm
CW?
scared.
I think my problem is I haven't seen The Crow long enough, and I haven't seen all the sequels, so like I don't have this sort of connection to the character that a lot of people do. I do want to one day, because I've still never picked it up. I do want to pick up the old, the actual original graphic novel and like the original trade, and pick it up and read that at some point.
Yeah, I would read it.
What happened here? Are we talking about The Crow still? There was
filming the OR also. What's the OR?
Original.
The original. Okay.
They had other issues during the filming of the OG. I think he's saying also.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like that, dude. That I'm sorry. If anybody came to me and asked me if I wanted to be in a Crow movie, I'd be like, no, thank you.
Right. Yeah.
I
I'll
do
give it a shot to say I did.
not need to be in a Crow movie and everything that apparently goes along with that. I'm seriously at this point. I think that the whatever goes on with the Crow is worse than the Superman thing.
Yeah. Right.
Is there a history of calamities with the other movies that followed?
Have you
Yeah.
seen the movie?
No, I've not seen
Besides being bad.
Besides being bad.
That's a little aggressive.
They were. I mean, you go the original. I mean, the original. If you we know Rotten Tomatoes is not the be all any source for
Yeah.
reviews, but if we just looked at that alone, you got an 83% for the original, and then you dipped to 11% on the sequel.
Ooh.
I mean that, and then it kind of keeps going down for the next two. So I mean that's a big second weekend drop off right there.
Wow.
Um,
You said 11%. You're like, it just goes down from there. It's like
8%? 5%?
let me. Oh, actually, no. I take that back. It went. The second one had 11%, but had more than double the reviews of the third one, which was 18%. But the fourth one, 0%.
Ooh.
And coming from an 84% from the original.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's one of those things. Like, I know Crazy Joe has always said, like, you know, he hates it when they say, like, nobody asked for this. But literally, man, you get 0% on a Rotten Tomatoes thing. Crazy Joe loves Rotten Tomatoes. He puts his whole bag of tomatoes in with Rotten Tomatoes. So, man, if Rotten Tomatoes goes, you get a goose egg, that means that everybody was like, we didn't want your movie.
Like
Right.
it's like I don't even want to reset my password. No, thank you. I'll just keep moving on.
I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be one of those movies where it's just. I mean, it's just not gonna be for everybody, right? I mean, I think it's gonna be definitely focused on a very specific core of fans. Like I said, I think you're gonna get those hardcore fans who love the original, who are gonna be interested after 30 years seeing finally a new take on the character, right? Especially when those sequels didn't pan out. And personally, I'm glad Jason's not playing the character. I'm glad they went with someone like Bill Skarsgård to play the character. Momoa can take a back seat for a little bit on some of these IPs. So
Yeah. No, I agree. I love Jason Momoa, but you know, Jason Momoa also has started to play the same character in every movie that he plays.
Yep.
And that's why I don't want to see him as Lobo. I have my feeling is he's gonna want to carry some of what he did as Aquaman into that character, and that's why I don't want to see him in that role. I want to see someone different.
The crazy thing about that though is that the character that he's been portraying
It's basically
is more
Lobo.
akin to Lobo.
Yeah. True.
That's the problem with that, right? Because like how he played Aquaman, that's why everybody started looking at him and going, man, he should have been Lobo, because the attitude that he has. I mean,
The rock star attitude, drinking a beer with water crashing behind you in the background.
I'm just saying, man, like him coming out of the water like that and everything. I mean, that is so Lobo. And so, but I get what you're saying, nerd. It's or I don't know what to call you, Nerd Coast Nostra. But you know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying, because he started doing that. Did you guys see, what was that movie that he was in, a kids movie about like a world?
Oh, the Netflix movie thing. I never saw that, but yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Or Slumber something.
Yeah, the Slumber King or something.
Oh, Slumberland.
Slumberland.
So I'll be honest with you. If I had just been left to my own devices to watch that movie, I would have never watched that movie. But when I was working at the school, we had like a free day or whatever, and around Christmas, and so, or a couple of free days around Christmas, just before Christmas break, and so we took a couple of days in one of the classes and we watched that whole movie. And the movie was very cute. The movie was very sweet. It was a great kids movie, but again, it's just Jason Momoa being Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And so
same with the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, his next few films, I mean, in my opinion, aren't looking too promising. He's going to star in Minecraft. a movie based on the video game.
I am interested.
Um,
I'm interested as a Minecraft player. I'm interested to see what that is. Jack
Yeah.
Black's involved. I trust him.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Well,
they're all.
that's interesting.
Then he's in a movie called In the Hand of Dante, and then after that, he's doing a voice for an animated film called Animal Friends. That's his next 3 upcoming films.
The In the Hand of Dante one is probably going to be a big deal.
Yeah, it looks like it's based off of an existing book. That's a
That
popular book, yeah.
And I believe it's a big director. It's gotten a lot of like it's getting a lot of like it's going to be an awards type movie.
Julian Schnabel, if I'm pronouncing that right. That's the director.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
also has Oscar Isaac starring in it too. Gerard Butler, Gail Gadot's in it too.
Isn't Pacino in there too? Like they
Al
got
Pacino. Yeah, they have a lot of people. Al Pacino.
God, I love you.
Scorsese's in it. Yeah.
I love you, dude. Jason Momoa can't act. Enos confirms. Enos hates.
Breaking news.
Confirmed. So there you go. But yeah, when it comes out, I'm gonna listen to the people that I know, like this guy right here, Cosa Nostra. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see what people say about it, and I may check out The Crow because there's really not a lot of films coming out this year.
No, like TW mentioned, I think there's like 3 or 4 big films, and that's it for the summer.
Yeah,
at least for superhero movies. There might still be something else out there.
Yeah.
I mean, we still got Furiosa. I'm so stoked.
That's true.
I still have not seen the Mad Max thing to set that up. So
you haven't seen Fury Road?
You need to literally go inside right now and just watch it.
I've never seen a Mad Max movie.
Bro,
oh my
you
god!
don't need to see any Mad Max.
You don't have to see
Fury Road.
You do not have to see Mad
it,
Max, Road Warrior, or Beyond Thunderdome to understand this next one.
You
You want to watch the
straight
most
into
recent
Fury.
one with Tom Hardy to lead you into this one. But how have you not seen any Mad Max movies?
I'm shocked.
I'm heartbroken.
This is something I've explained quite a few times, but yeah, it crosses genres, right? Because like when I've talked about for example horror movies that I haven't seen, right?
It's fair to ask.
People get it because I was raised by my grandma.
Oh, okay.
So my grandmother went through these stages where we could watch movies and television,
Yeah.
and then we couldn't, right? And so it would never be long periods of time. She would just get something in her crowd. Like honestly, what did it one night was I was watching Star Trek V, and
Great
Bones
movie.
Out
Great
and,
movie.
Bones came out and dropped a dam or something like that, and my grandma was like, "What?" And I was like, "Grandma, it's Dr. McCoy. He always says that," and stuff. I had to defend the movie to just keep on Star Trek. So the thing was that growing up during that time, I saw a lot of movies with my friend Wayne. I had a friend who lived 3 houses down, and his was the family that had the first VCR on the block, because we moved in there in '84, and he had a VCR, so they had all these bootleg copies of movies and stuff, and so I watched a lot of stuff that I probably wouldn't have watched any other way unless it was for Wayne. But we never got around to Mad Max or Beyond Thunderdome. So I knew the Tina Turner song, and I understood. I did know the concept behind it. You know what I mean? I know the story and the futuristic thing and the dystopian world.
Yeah.
They're looking for gasoline and they got these stuff. But I just never seen the movies. And so
I mean, I could completely sympathize.
There's gaps. There's gaps in my movie history, especially in the 80s. For 80s movies and some early 90s movies is like that. I had never seen Top Gun until I had my my bariatric surgery in 2018.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then I was sitting you know what? I need to freaking watch this movie because I've never watched this movie, and so I just watched it, and I was like, okay, it's done.
I can sympathize. Growing up as a PK, I had the same experience, right? If it was PG-13, it had to be screened first. And even then it was I don't know. So it was watching a lot of Rocky growing up. What's that?
Oh yeah. Did you get that?
No.
We can watch it, but there's going to be a part where we're going to have to fast forward.
Yep. Or we're gonna need you to leave the room. We'll tell you to come back in.
Yeah.
So one series though, like Rocky, like the Rocky movies, those were a free game. I watched those on Rewind quite a bit. But yeah, it wasn't probably till the late 90s, early 2000s where I was just like, I'm free now. Watch whatever I want. But to your point, I mean, I knew of like those movies like Road Warrior. I mean, I knew of them, but we were never allowed to watch them either.
Yeah.
But yeah, but now though, you gotta check those movies out. You gotta check them out.
I've wanted to. They've been on a list of films that I need to get to, that I just haven't gotten to.
Yeah.
Along with, like we were talking yesterday about horror movies, so like along with the Friday the 13th movies and along with Halloween
1 through 4, it's all you need. Friday the 13th, 1 through 4, it's all you need. The rest of them don't. I mean, if you want to watch them, great, but
I have watched over and over again. What is it from Jason? Is it from Jason's Dead or Jason Goes to Hell?
That's part 9. That's part 9.
Nod, because the glove comes up like a shark fin and comes through the thing, and that was cool. Yeah, so I need to get to, but yeah, the Road Warrior stuff and all that, that's definitely been something that I want. And with Furiosa?
Yeah, Furiosa.
Yep.
Furiosa. With that coming out, I've kind of wanted to go and watch that Tom Hardy movie. The problem is Tom Hardy is really hit or miss for me, and so is what's her name?
Charlize? Oh, stop it!
She is.
I think you'll enjoy the recent Mad Max with Tom Hardy and Charlize. I think you'll enjoy it.
Beautiful. What movie were we watching where Charlize Theron was in, and I was just like,
oh,
dang!
Was it That Thing You Do?
Oh yeah, we were watching That Thing You Do a few months ago, and like I remember like we put the thing on, and I was just watching her, and like honestly, I was just like, wasn't I?
She was mesmerized.
Like I honestly never. It's so long since I'd seen that movie. First of all, I forgot it was Charlize Theron in that movie.
Yeah.
Second of all, I'm looking at her and I'm like, dang, she is beautiful in this movie. And so yeah, but yeah, we'll get to it. We're finished. You mentioned Rocky, and we've been on Rocky 2 for what, 3 days now?
No, we're on Rocky 3.
We're on Rocky. That's right. We're on Rocky 3 now.
Rocky 3 for 3 days.
That's right. We've been on Rocky 3 because we've just haven't been able to finish it. I've watched it obviously a million times, but
times plus. Easy.
Oh, easy.
Great movie.
Easy. It's funny. I remember taping the Rocky movies off of. Do you remember when like Comcast or something like that would like have like a free weekend where like HBO would be free for.
Yeah, so my grandfather used to have in the basement, so he used to have this bookshelf, and it would probably he had a book that like a little notebook that he had a list. He had all his tapes numbered. So he'd have like number 1, and then he'd say what was on that tape. And you could, if you remember, you used to be able to control the speed of how you could record things on TV.
Yeah.
So and that then determined how much content you could fit. So he could fit, depending on how long a movie was, 3 to 4 movies per VHS. So he had like 200 VHS tapes, and then he had like a sticker on them in his book, and it said like 3 movies per VHS. So you'd had just tons of like that old content to watch. But I mean, that's how I watched like a lot of those movies I talked about earlier, was because he had them all recorded because of those types of free weekends. Yeah.
It sounds like you and I had a very similar experience because yeah, man, like I've got VHS tapes up the wazoo, some stuff that's like, recorded stuff, that like we actually recorded, but then there's like a lot of stuff that I want to convert to digital still. So I've kept the tapes around.
Yeah.
I may never get to that in my lifetime, but the thing is like, I've got these VHS tapes, and I taped so much as a kid because I remember when I ended up, my grandma was going to get rid of the TV and VCR. And by that time I had moved into the back of the church. I kind of had my own apartment. I had my own door in and out and stuff. And so like she ended up giving me our really cool like color TV, which like back then it was really cool. It like had stereo sound. It had like 2 speakers, like really cool speakers built into it. and it even had a place for your remote that you could like slide the remote inside the TV and everything. And she gave it to me, and then she gave me the VCR, and she's like, "Yeah, just take them." And so, man, I recorded everything, And it was funny because I was finding these VHS tapes, and it's like old cartoons and old TV shows, and this is during the time when like Lois and Clark was on, so like I got like all Lois and Clark and all these different shows that I used to watch back then. And but yeah, that's how I had the Rocky series for the longest time. It's funny because it would have it had the little scroll across the bottom that was like, to enjoy this free preview of HBO.
Yep.
You can order HBO by calling, It's like, no, I'm good. I'll just take the free weekend and
record as much as I can.
Right, just record. Like just what movies are coming on. I don't know. Just record.
Yeah, VHS, especially original VHS, have been definitely making a comeback, especially from a collector's perspective. I mean, depending upon your what people collect. I mean, even like CGC has started even grading VHS tapes, where they'll like how they do with comic books. They do that now for VHS tapes, video games. I mean, I've seen some like some of the Star Wars films, not from like the original release. I'm talking like the 90s releases or like the late 80s are going for like $300-$400 for the VHS graded. I mean, hey, if that's your thing, but I mean, I'm sorry, that's not Star Wars New Hope is not worth $400 to me, sitting in a plastic encapsulated case for me just to stare at.
Yeah, well, especially when I think I've got 3 copies of that original packaging for the VHS. Look, that was the first movies I ever bought, Cosa Nostra. And
so Star Wars, the only one I have is when they first came on DVD, and they actually it was a special edition where you got the original what it looked like when it was released in theater. Then when George Lucas screwed it up the first time, and then when he screwed it up the second time with all of his tampering with. So I like the fact that it gives you the option to
call it the special edition. That you're like, man, when George Lucas messed it up the first time, and then when he messed it up the second time.
I love the fact that you can actually watch how it was originally filmed, how it was originally released without all that tampering with. Those I've kept for that's one thing I won't part with is those, because those are the only DVDs I have that has all 3 versions on the DVD. Yeah, the Blu-rays. I don't even think the Blu-rays or the 4Ks never even gave you that option.
Yeah, Zodwriter sent me the copy of a Blu-ray of the despecialized edition, which is like the closest. The one that he sent me is like the closest thing that you get to the original, untampered with nothing or whatever. But it is up converted, so it looks better. It looks nicer. Fans just wanted. It's just like, hey, just make it look nice, but we want that original experience. Because I mean, you can't even get a copy anymore that has the original Yub Nub song.
No. And you'll never convince me that Han did, if Han, come on, you know where I'm going with that one.
But I mean, how can you have whole like what now 2 generations of Star Wars fans that may have never heard the Yub Nub song at the end of Return of the Jedi?
I was never a fan when he started adjusting the original films. I was never a fan of that.
There were, you know what? So I'll be the first to admit there were parts of that I really liked. Okay, there, like, I'll be honest, like when they show Bespin and and you see like the Falcon flying through the city, I thought that was cool. When I saw like the part in A New Hope with Boba Fett is redundant.
Or the sing along in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, don't even get me started on Jedi rocks. Like, what the heck is that stuff, man? And like when Cy Snoodle's lips come like towards the camera, like, I'm sorry, give me that original puppet going. I think that don't. I think that.
Yeah. If that's the version I'm watching, those are the parts where it's like, okay, we're gonna have to fast forward this part now.
Right? Yeah.
I have a friend, my friend Aaron, the drummer in my band. He cracks me up because when they did the specialized version and they put the dancing girls in, right? And then they released that toy set. He was I can't remember how young he said he was. He was like 12 or something like that, 10, 12, whatever. But he said that like watching that part in the movie or something like that always gave him like, this very weird feeling as a young man, and he had to have those toys.
Yeah, those are called nightmares, is what we call those as adults. Those are nightmares.
But I will say this, like that original VHS set, right, from the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
I bought that with my own money that I earned, and I bought it at Kmart. Those VHS tapes were $20 a piece, and I put them in layaway, in Kmart layaway. And I paid like a little bit on it every week, whatever I was supposed to pay on. I paid on it every week until I got those tapes, man. And I'll never forget that day when I actually owned my first copy of Star Wars and I could watch Star Wars anytime I wanted. But, like people don't understand that nowadays, right? Like for my generation and those in my generation, and everybody obviously before us, but like we were the ones who got to live that, right? I say many times in X, man, we got to experience so many things that were great crossovers between what was before and what is now, the modern age. But you couldn't just watch Star Wars.
Nope.
You couldn't watch it. You had to either go rent it. I mean, and before, home video, you just had to wait until it came out again because they would re-release movies in the theaters, but you never knew when that was coming.
Not unless you got the Friday paper and went to the entertainment section and looked to see what was playing that weekend.
Right. And so the thing is that, when VHS came out, then it was like every once in a while, because we didn't have a VCR for a while, till probably like 86. And so, but what my grandma would do is my grandma would go to Rent-A-Center. Like every few months, my grandma would go to Rent-A-Center and she would rent a VCR for me.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really funny because like, I know I just told this whole story about how grandma like didn't let me watch movies, but like I said, grandma did this thing, went back and forth a lot.
Right.
So I mean, so like every time she would do that, I would rent the same movies over a weekend, just about the Star Wars trilogy, as many Superman movies as I could find. And then grandma would rent like, 10 Commandments and Ben-Hur.
Oh yeah, see, so Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, The Robe, those movies, those were owned and on hand, and coincidentally, so was the Godfather series. So I'm not sure how that played out, but we always had those on hand. But when we would rent movies, so to answer this question, yes, that is true. So the episode 1 is supposed to be coming out for May. That's the one that's the longest release, from May 3rd through the 5th. Then on May 4th, they're doing the original 3. So when I say original 3, like New Hope, Empire, Return. And then on the 5th, they're doing the other 3. So Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith. I know it's very limited though, as far as number of the number of theaters in various cities. So like for me, where I'm at, there's only one theater, one Harkins that's playing it. It's on the opposite side of the city for me. It'd be it's not even worth the drive. But yeah, that is something that they are doing, because I think for episode 1, it's the anniversary is coming up for episode 1, I think, for this year. To answer that question, yeah, it's this year, I think.
Wow.
But as far as renting movies, I mean, that was like a special occasion thing for us, and when we thought our parents would send us. So the grocery store at the time had a video store in it, where we shopped. So they would be like, oh, go look for movies. And we would spend the whole time in there collecting this big stack of movies, only for them to come in and be like, oh yeah, well, we gotta go. We spent too much money on groceries. We gotta go.
Dude, are you sure we didn't have the same exact life, dude? Because every time I went to the grocery store, that's all I did was peruse the movies that they had at the grocery store and just think, I wonder what that movie's about. And still to this day, I'll see a cover for a film and I'll be like, what is that from?
I can't tell you how many adults I pissed off by sitting there with like 15 movies. Like, no, I'm getting all of these. And the lady behind the counter, I mean, she saw me every Friday because that's when we did our shopping every Friday, late afternoon after school. So she knew who I was. So she didn't. So if someone came like bothering me, she wouldn't like, no, leave him alone. But we would never get any of them, and so they would always get put back on the shelf. So it was a very rare occasion if we got to see. And the only time I ever got to see something that was not PK related, and my mom went out of went on an out of town field trip with my older brother, so it was just me and my dad, and he took me out of school early, took me to McDonald's, and this was back when you can get like a super size, like the fries was like the size of like a 64-ounce Coke. I mean, that's when they used to have those types of things, and that was the first time I ever saw Terminator 2. He let me rent Terminator 2, and as long as I didn't don't tell your mom. Don't tell your mom, let me watch this. And that I watched that. I probably watched that. I don't know how many times between that Friday and that Saturday, before they came back on Sunday. That was the one thing ever so often he would do. But yeah, that's how it rolled when we were kids.
By the way, bye Austin. We love you, man. Love you, bro. Look forward to seeing you probably tomorrow. So you want to know what I did? This is very telling on me, right? This is me getting myself in trouble 30 years later. So when I got to a certain age, we had the grocery store proper, but we also had a party store that was just down the street from our house. And that party store, they rented video games and they rented movies, right? And the crazy thing was they would let me as a kid rent movies. My grandma went and signed up for the thing, but she never did anything with it. She wasn't down. She only did it so that I could rent Nintendo games, like old NES games, right?
Yep.
And so when I became a teenager and all of a sudden I had my own money and everything, remember I said that I had that private access to my room?
To your room, yep.
So we had somebody had given my grandma like this old van, and it sat in our backyard for maybe a summer because her husband was going to fix it, and it just took him a while to get to. And so what I would do is I would walk down to the party store. I would rent 2 or 3 movies, and this was during my time of like, I need to watch all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So I would rent the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and then I would walk home. I would open the door to that van, put the movies in the van, go back inside with my, I'd gone down there and bought some chips or a pop or whatever, my own 2-liter or whatever, and I'd come back and be like, all right, guys, I'm going back to my room. And then I'd go to my room, go out the back door, get in the van, grab the films, come back out, and I'd have a whole night to watch movies as much as I wanted. And I never got caught.
So yeah, my cousin and I used to do something similar when he used to stay at my house. There was a gas station and just a small little like small business like video store, and we would wait until everyone went to bed, and we would sneak out around and it was 24/7 VHS store, so we would sneak out like between like 11 and midnight, and we would walk like the block and a half down the gas station, get snacks, get a movie. But the one thing we had to make sure we did, because when you opened the front door, it had almost like that suction where you could almost hear it through the whole house. And then you had to make sure you grabbed the screen door, so as it bounced back and then slammed shut, you had to make sure you caught that. Otherwise the dogs will start barking, everyone's going to wake up. And so we had to make sure then we watched, whatever we got, we watch it downstairs, but we had to make sure then we had to be up and get back to the video store before anyone knows we ever even had it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's very, very similar experiences.
I'll tell this one and I'll be done. But I had a little black and white TV that when I first come to live with my grandma gave me this little black and white TV. It was like had a handle built into it and you could carry it around. But it wasn't like a little portable TV. It was, it was like a 12-inch, 13-inch TV, but it was black and white. And I'll never forget that because she gave that to me at first because I had come to live with her and she didn't want to have to listen to all my cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So every night or every day after school, I'd come home and I'd watch He-Man and stuff, but it had a earplug hole on the front of the TV, right? So I had one of those long, old-fashioned little ear pieces, right?
Uh-huh.
That would stretch all the way across the room to the TV, and I would sit there with that one earpiece in and listen to the TV that way. And that way my grandma didn't have to hear He-Man and, everything else that I was watching every day.
See, what
And
we had was
then,
like headphones like this. This is what we used to have, like the old
yeah, see,
Casio
I had the
headphones.
yeah, you remember the little ones? It was just like the
Yeah,
one
yeah.
little earpiece, right? Like
Yep.
that's what I had. And so it was funny though, because I used to hate it because, obviously I was 8 years old, right? And so I
Yeah.
probably wasn't like the safest with it, And so like any headphones, they end up, getting shorted out and stuff like that. So I was always constantly wrapping them and taping them, and stuff like that, so it would work, so I could hear, whatever. And then I'll never forget the time that Grandma got a splitter for it. She got a splitter so I could have somebody else watch with me, right? And so I could have a friend over, but we both still had to have a thing. But then when I didn't have a friend over, I could put both in.
Both of them.
And I had stereo sound. But it was funny because with that TV, I would watch TV. When we moved in the church, we had cable and stuff. I had the cable hooked up to that little TV, and that was my TV. And I would watch TV just all night long. But that's when I discovered like Nick at Night, and used to watch the Patty Duke Show and Dobie Gillis and like all those shows. So they were already in black and white, so it didn't really matter. And but it's funny because Grandma would I'd hear her get up, and I could hear her walking through the living room, and I would turn the TV off and just like act like I was asleep because I knew that she would like come in and turn the TV off, and she would threaten like if you keep watching that stuff, I'm gonna take your TV away. And I'm like,
that's the classic 80s 90s go-to. Turn off and pretend you're asleep. Just don't move. Just don't move.
Yeah. Well, hey man, it's really good talking to you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we will definitely do this more. And thanks, obviously, to TW who was here. Thanks to Austin, who's been doing a great job this week, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for letting me crash.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. I think we're gonna go finish some Rocky movies. But hey, man, so are you doing your own channel?
So I have my channel. I've just been kind of testing out like templates. I'm trying to just get used to the whole OBS, working with StreamYard, working with then the various, platforms. So I'm just trying to get a sense for what I want that look and feel to be. Because I'm also taking an approach of not just focusing on like one thing. Like I know like with the Four Nerds, we focus on like very much like comic book stuff, like comic book movies, comic book, books themselves, right? But I want it to be just more than that. Like whether it's just like this, like the Crow movie, or just some other random movie that looks really good. Let's talk about that. Or just older movies. Let's have a show about just like a Turn Back Tuesday, like these old 80s movies that we all like, many of us love, or these 90s movies that we all love. Just kind of have it be more than just comic book content, like comic book movie content.
We're getting ready to do something because Shayna's a singer and a musician and been in bands, and there's many great bands and artists and stuff that she loves that I've never even heard of, or vice versa. And so we're gonna do it like I got to figure it out. I know that because I don't want to start getting YouTube trying to take us down, but I know that YouTube has been a lot more. They've changed a lot of the copyright stuff, so now you basically just end up giving away the revenue for it.
Yep.
And I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. But we want to do like a music show, where we listen to like an album or something and geek it and stuff, because that's part of who we are. You do suck.
Yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. I mean, something like that is what I'm talking about. Where again, you're not just kind of pigeonholing yourself into one type of topic, where you can. I've talked with Dawson a couple times, around like, hey, the nerd stuff is great, but what about some serious topics? Like whether I'm not talking like, hey, let's get like into a debate show. Nothing. I don't want to do anything like that. Too many people get offended. I mean, I don't have a problem offending people, but it's just not something I want to put out there, right? It's not the type of vibe I want to put out there. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of just looking at just about anything, really.
Cool, man. Awesome. Well, hey guys, go over to Nerd Cosa Nostra's channel. It's just
I don't have anything uploaded yet, but I mean, feel free to check me out on all like the social medias. I'm on all the social medias under the same name. I'm definitely I'm just starting to get these templates set the way I want them. So I figure in the next couple of weeks I'm gonna start doing some shows here and there. I'm gonna may have a lot more free time in my hands. Taking a step away from work. So we'll see how that plays out. And I'll looking to just even kind of coordinate with other content creators like yourself. Like I said, Dawson and I have talked. I've talked to Andre a couple times. So just wherever I can step in if there's a need.
Well, you and I have talked before, but I'm here to help in any way I can. Now that I'm back doing this and dipping my foot back into it, it's like we got a lot of ideas. I got to get through some stuff first in the next couple of months, and then and then refocus and same thing, figure out what I want to do and plan that out, because this time coming back, and people ask me like, why does it take you so long for you to come back? And it's because I didn't want to just do the same thing that I did before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to just jump back in. It's like, okay, the same type of show, the same show. That'd be easy to do. Yeah, I could just do that all day long.
Yeah.
But I figured, what I really want to do with this is I really want to plan this out, because obviously, I know much to the chagrin of some, I'm not going to be up, doing midnight till 5 a.m. shows, like I've got.
I'm not doing that either. Yeah. Maybe like on Fridays or like Saturdays. I might, I'll be more than happy to, but like during the week, I mean, that just wouldn't work for me.
Yeah. But I was doing that, man. Like,
you were for a while. Yeah. You were grinding. I mean,
dude,
you were.
Night, man. I was up and I was doing the show, and I would have it figured out, because it's like, okay, I got to get up at 8:15 in the morning.
Yeah.
So if I get done with this show by say 3:30, I'm still going to get like around 5 hours of sleep. I'm good. But then there were times when like it went on and on and on. And there was one night, dude, I laid down, I set an alarm for 5 minutes.
And there's only so much you can burn that candle.
Yeah. And I laid down and I got back up and I went and did my day,
Yeah.
That day, Enosh was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. So I don't plan on doing that again. So what I'd like to do though is plan it where there's actual shows that people can rely on. Like, this show's going to be there. Like, like this is something they can look forward to. But like you said, it's not all necessarily the same thing.
Yeah.
It's various things, that's also, like, it's good and bad, because you don't know necessarily what's going to stick, and like you may really like
correct.
You may really like something like when I did PLW, for example, with the action figures and stuff, right? Like for me, that was something that for me, I just wanted to see if I could do that. Could I make an action figure wrestling show with green screen and like do commentary and the whole 9 yards and have it be funny to me? And it was. And the people who watched it, it was much funnier when I watched it live with everyone else on my show than when I put it out and like nobody saw it back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I loved it. And so like, I really wanted that to be good. But of course I only did 2 episodes because I found that like I wanted to do multiple matches with different things. And it's like, I don't know that concept works over 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But how do you do all of what I was wanting to do in the space of, 5 or 10 minutes, So I don't know. So, so that's the thing, right? Is you got to be willing to like let something that you really like that just doesn't hit, like, kind of go to the side then if it doesn't.
Yeah, you gotta definitely be willing to course correct, right? You gotta.
Or you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. Like somebody was bugging me, saying, like, oh, you're never gonna reach 100,000 subs. And I've had other people, like I've had peers try to tell me, like, if you do too much diverse stuff, you need to focus on one thing and just do that and everything. And it's like, or you're never gonna be successful. And this is why I think it's funny that people think that like my goal is to be like some YouTuber, influencer, whatever, when I'm just like, I'm gonna do what I like, right? I started doing those Mark Uno
Yeah.
videos, and everybody told me that they didn't like it, but I kept it up, and then all of a sudden people started catching on and liking it. And the funny thing is, dude, I get so many messages still to this day over Mark Uno. It just cracks me up, right? Because it resonates with people, and but that's the thing, man. You find what you love, man, and
Yeah. I figure if I'm I'll probably narrow it down to like 2 or 3 things and stick with those. Stick it out for a predetermined amount of time, and then evaluate at that time, good or bad, whatever happens in that amount of time. I'm gonna give it that amount of time. And the other, and the other thing going into this was, just collaborating with other people, right? Whether, like yourself, I mean, other like-minded people that I've been, you know, talking with, chatting with, whether it's through the chat or, off the internet, whether that's through text or phone calls or whatever, just collaborating with those people further more than just, over the phone, right? I mean, especially when a lot of these individuals I have things in common with, whether that's hobby related or real life related, right? Because I think that's the other thing is, I think a lot of there's a lot of these shows where, let's talk hobby related, let's talk about the movies we like, but let's also have that kind of that show or that moment where you talk about real life stuff where people can relate, where more people I think can relate to, whether it's their personal struggle, whether it's just a struggle of life in itself, right?
Yeah.
I think sometimes kind of intertwining those, because, oh man, this person likes these type of movies and they're going through a struggle just like me, or they're facing a similar challenge just like me, right? I think that's where the two can kind of mold together, right, and kind of serve a dual purpose.
I love that, man.
So
I love it a lot. Well, because even like with the trolls that we get, right,
yeah,
and the and I mean, and look, look, if it's not people hating on me for liking Zack Snyder, it was people hating on me for having constructive criticism. It's people
yeah,
who don't like my take on something, and now this is just one more part of my life, and obviously it's low hanging fruit, right? So
yeah.
But the thing is, what I am enjoying about it is not I don't enjoy that part of it, that part of it, and we're ignoring that now, but the people who message me and they go, you know what, Enosh, thank you for XYZ because I'm going through this right now. A lot of people who are going through divorces or whatever, and they're like, thank you for showing that like you are who you are, yet you've got people harassing you, you got people bugging you, you got people doing all these things, and you're going through the thing too. Like it's an encouragement to me to see somebody able to go through all this stuff and you're making it, you're surviving, and it gives me I can too. And so with that kind of stuff, I recognize that it's not just about me, it's not just about that it's about using the experiences that you have to also be able to speak into other people's lives, right?
Absolutely, yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's the way I look at it, because the thing is like, you know what? Everybody goes through this time where there's the trolls in our life. They're not all so obvious as being on a social media platform or something like that. But we all have those trolls in our lives that want to go after us and say things about us behind our back or whatever. So like when somebody I think like comes into a situation like this and they're giving me a hard time about something, or they're saying making fun of the fact that I'm going through a divorce, acting like I'm the only person in the world who's ever gone through a divorce, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And
No,
so,
yeah,
but what's cool is that people who are going through that, they see that and they go, yeah, you know what? That's how people treat me too. That's how people have acted to me too. Like I'm some kind of outcast, or like people from we were talking about our upbringing, right? Like there's still people from a religious standpoint that like it's such a stigma for them, like they even if they're not the ones seeking out that, like it's still, and so I'm glad that I can be an encouragement to people even through what I'm going through. I did joke with Shayna the other day, and I have said it, like I've told God like officially, like, Lord, you realize you can still send me people who need my prayer and like who need like me to befriend them and be there for them and stuff, and I don't have to like personally experience what they're going through, right? Like you do know that, Jesus. You know, like I don't have to know exactly what they're going through to be able to, you know, minister.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, everyone's fighting a battle that
Right.
the vast majority don't know about, right? And you're gonna have those people who don't are not, I don't want, not necessarily ashamed, but they're not shy about sharing that battle that they're going through. But I think you do have that vast majority who do not want to be judged, and they will not share that battle. They'll keep
Yeah.
smiling. They'll keep saying, I'm okay. I'm okay. Everything is good. Everything is good. But you know, when they close that door behind them, their world's falling apart. And there's times those people are looking for that person or that group to say, oh, that they know they're facing that same challenge or that same battle or something very similar. Maybe I should try and kind of put my toe in the water and see if I can lean that way. And I think they don't do that because either they've already been judged or they're afraid of being judged and then ridiculed for the battle they're going through. Right. And then no one wants that. No one wants to be ridiculed and judged. So that's why I think the vast majority of people are just going to keep smiling, keep saying they're okay. And then unfortunately that can lead you down to a very dark path. I think, you know, whether you make unfortunate decisions, um, uh, about, you know, with yourself, that impact your loved ones. I won't say specific words for the YouTube algorithm, but but I think a lot of those can be avoided. Those situations can be avoided if there was that courage to just, I think the willingness is there. It's the courage to lean
Yeah.
and understand that, yeah, you're not the only one going through that battle. Hey, I'm going through it too. Let's talk. What are you facing? What am I facing? Or I just got through that. You know, I just got through that battle. Let me share my experience, and you take from that what you will. Right? I mean,
And you know what I say, man. Here's the thing. I've always been pretty transparent, but like I've realized like I've purposely chosen to be more transparent this last year, like to just really just be like, okay, look, I'm going to put myself out there, and not everybody likes that. It makes some people feel uncomfortable, and it does open myself up for the occasional troll, right?
yeah.
But you know what? The thing is like what's really important is that I know me. I've rediscovered me through this. I know my family. I know my situation. I know my relationships. And I know how I can best be there for others who are going through those things, because I know how I felt. You know what I mean? Like I literally had somebody talk to me this week who's going through a very similar thing to what I went through, you know, this time last year.
Yep.
And they were talking to me, and it was amazing because we were talking, and I want to be careful what I say. I was just talking about, he was telling me some things that were happening, right? And so I was amazed because I was thinking to myself, like, man, these are the things that I was feeling a year ago, right? And not even fully a year ago, you know what I mean? Just a few months ago, some maybe just a couple weeks ago. But the thing is like, people who are going through a tough time, like, they don't need somebody to just like point out all the negatives.
Yep.
Oh, and like point out some of the obvious things. Because trust me, when somebody's going through something, they have gone over things in every scenario you could possibly imagine, you know. And the person was telling me, like, you know, I can't turn my mind off. You know what I mean? And I get that. I totally get that, right? I mean, we get that. And so yeah, it's like but I told him, I said, you know that you're not alone. I'm here for you. And I didn't give him the stuff that people give you advice, and they try to make you feel better by telling you what they think is going to make you feel better, right? Like,
Yeah.
this will pass, like one day you'll just wake up and it'll all be better, and whatever. And I'm like, going through that stuff, you're just like, really? Because when? Because I've been doing all, right? I've been doing all the things. I'm going all the places. I've been talking to all the people I'm supposed to go to. I'm doing all the things, and like, when does it get better? But the thing is what people really need is somebody to come alongside them and encourage them, because over time things do get better, right? Or they can, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't get better, and that was my point when I was at my lowest. Like, I was asking people, like, oh really? Why do they get better? Why? Like, and I think that's a legitimate question, right? But like, we're not really always poised to answer those questions, and they make us feel uncomfortable because we always want to believe in the fairy book ending, the storybook ending. And not just in marriages, but in like health issues and stuff, that like, it's just going to work out. It'll work out. It always has, right? And sometimes it doesn't. And so it's like preparing yourself for that, but also having the right things to say, and sometimes just listening. Listening can be the most important thing that we ever do.
I hear you, man. Especially when it comes to like the medical thing. I mean, between my wife and I, we've had 10 back surgeries between the two of us.
Wow.
I had my most recent one my fifth one this past September, and when you hear people say, not so much it will get better, oh don't worry, the pain will go away. It's like, listen, I've been dealing with this for 7 years. I've been in pain for 7 years. So you telling me it's gonna get better? You get to that point where I don't believe you, because I've been going through this. And at some point, physical turns into mental, right? The physical pain turns into the mental pain, and then you're battling both at the same time, right?
Yes.
And then at some point it does. I think it just wears on you, and then you just have that moment, or do have that long period of time where you feel like you're just broken mentally.
Right.
And then you do try to find those reasons. Okay, reason to sit up out of bed, reason to put my shoes on, as long as you can find those reasons to do, okay, this is why I'm going to put my shoes on, this is why I'm going to stand up, this is why I'm just taking it literally one action at a time to get to the next action. If I can get to the next action, I've accomplished something. And I just got to keep doing that and keep doing that. It will be repetitive at first. It may feel meaningless at first, but I got to do it. I know I got to do it, because if I don't, I'm going to drown. And the wave will just keep hitting you until you can't bring your head above the water anymore, and you just drown in it. So I hear you, man. It's definitely one of those things where whether it's like the situation that you've been going through over the past year, or whether it's a divorce, whether it's like a medical thing. I mean, it's definitely, at times you don't want to hear somebody else tell you it's gonna be okay. It's like, I don't want to hear that.
Right.
It's like it'd be better if you just didn't say anything. Just it's like, I don't need you to say anything. I just need you to listen. Whether you sit there and just nod along, like, yep, okay, and then we go our own way. Like, you said 2 words the whole time. That's all I need from you, just to listen and let me. I think a lot of times people just need that. They just need that outlet, just someone to listen, and I think that would do wonders for a lot of people, just to listen.
Well, I said it earlier, man. I said it earlier before you came on the show, and I do mean it, and I think it's a good way to close things out. I mean, like, I alluded to it, but say it again. This guy right here, man, like, this is the first time he's ever been out actually on the show proper. And and but Cosa Nostra was we've been talking for a while now, man. We've been
a few years now. Yeah, it's been a while.
Like, like, I'll never forget shoveling snow outside the church, and and talking to him and everything stuff. And so but you've been a big encouragement to me, man. Just the times that you just checked in with me, and it was just like, hey, Nash, how you doing? Like, what's going on? And that's what I appreciate. I appreciate those people who've been that, and I'm very thankful that I have people like that in my life. And I was just actually looking at, like, my personal friends, like my personal contacts, like
Mhm.
on Facebook and stuff like that. And it's really funny how it's changed over the last like year or two, where when I took a step back from YouTube, people were seeking me out on other social media platforms.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
hey, we miss you, man. Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Especially when people didn't know what was going on, and they were just like, are you okay? What's going on? Is there anything I can do? That kind of thing. And I became much more friends with people who had been kind of acquaintances for a long
Yeah.
time. But I'm very thankful for those like yourself, man, who just you've been encouraging, and I'm very thankful for that, man. So that's what.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm here anytime. You have my number. Call, text. Don't worry about the time difference. I think now you bumped up an hour, so I think you're 3 hours. I think you're 3 hours ahead now.
Yeah.
I don't know. In my state we don't mess around with daylight savings time. We don't conform to that nonsense.
I know. You know what? I've said it for the longest time, but I keep saying it. That I feel like I'm going to end up out there one day, in that like that. I almost have.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm born and raised here, man. I've been my wife and I were both born and raised here, so we're one of the, it's funny because aren't too many natives still in the state. I mean, because there's so many people, especially from the states around. Because you can drive 2 hours from the city and experience like 5 feet blizzard snow, drive 2 hours back the opposite way, and it's 98 100 degrees. That to me states you can really do that in. But yeah, man, anytime you need something, you let me know. You call, you text. I'm here, man, no matter what. So
Same with you, man.
absolutely, I appreciate that. Like I said, we all go through those trying times, and it's just part of life. It's just part of life.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, it's been fun, and I like this turned into here at the end one of those times where we're talking about real life stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, thank you again for having me on your show, on your channel.
Always.
Happy to join again anytime you would like to have me on. Just drop me a message on any of the social medias, or just text me, and happy to join.
I definitely will, man. Well, hey everybody, thanks for being here tonight. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
I'm so glad that you came out and hung out with me a little bit, because she was waiting for me inside. So, but thank you guys for watching. Like I always say, don't let anybody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter. Don't tell you that because there's some people who try to tell you that too. But you know what? Seek to have good conversations. Don't tell anybody that they don't matter either. All right. Don't switch midstream and be like, I'm justified in being ticked off at them, so I'm gonna call them names now. No, don't do all that. Seek to have good conversations. Find some good level middle ground. Find some things that you guys can agree on. You're not always going to agree with everybody, and sometimes you just got to cut people out of your life, and move on if you can't get along with them. There's a great biblical truth in that says, sometimes you got to dust off the soles of your feet and just move on. But it's knowing when to do that, right? And so don't just cut people off just to cut people off. Seek to have good conversations, and if you guys do that, there'll always be a place for you all here in the Poindexter Lounge. Thank you, Nerd Costa Nostra. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, TW, for being here, and of course, thank you to the sensational Shayna. And we will see you next time. Stay nerdy, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.